Are you a mom running a service-based business? You're completely maxed out on one-to-one and you're wondering if there's just another way? Then this video for you. God, I wish I had this recorded for me 2 years ago. So, my name is Catherine Parsons and I am a group program and course strategist. So I specialise in helping female entrepreneurs who are moms to go from one-to-one into creating a scalable group program or course. So this video is going to be a brief video on my journey as a tech VA into coaching, and then what I basically learned over that time and why I decided to come out of being a tech VA, going back into coaching, and why I've also decided to launch my own group program, which I'm currently working on at the moment, and taking you on the journey with me. So back in the end of 2016, I started an MLM business. I was in the MLM space till August 2019. I started to merge it with coaching. At the end of 2019, I left it completely. In September 2018, the year before, I did my NL practitioner qualification, mainly for me and myself. I had no thing of actually coaching at that point. I had no plan to do it. And then in July 2019, I did my master's. And that was when a switch flipped and I was like, I've got something here that I can genuinely help other people with. And I decided to coach. So over them 6 months, I was doing coaching and I carried that on until I did a course in August 2020 where I was like, I'm not 100% sure what to do. I was doing my second baby in the February, and I knew that doing hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, and everything that comes NLP needs silence. It's the only way that people can do it. They weren't going to be able to concentrate if a baby screaming in the background. My eldest was a really difficult baby. She had reflux and she cried all the time. I didn't know if that was what was going to happen again the second time. So I was like, I need something that I can do on my own in the background, just while I've got the baby there, whether she's making noise or not. I need it to be somewhere where someone else isn't going to be interrupted. So the business coach who I did the course decided to be a VA, and I was a bit reluctant at first. I was like, I haven't been in corporate, I haven't done a PA role before. Like, how am I supposed to do this? And she was like, you've got the skills, like what you've learned in your care work, your ambulance work, just utilise it. So I had my daughter in February, end of February 2021, and I spent the first 2 weeks home with her and my eldest daughter as we had gone back into the second or third lockdown, if you can call that a lockdown, the one we had over Christmas where we had all them zones. Seems like a really distant memory now. And so we'd gone into lockdown for another 10 weeks or so, and she was born and there was 2 weeks left before she went back to school. So I just spent my time with my two daughters, with my husband. We completely stopped homeschooling at that point and just, focused on the children. I had a business plan in place, I'd had some branding in place, and I'd done the basic minimum stuff that I needed to get the business going. So when she was 2 weeks old, I decided to go for it. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing, if I'm honest. Didn't realise back then that you needed to work out who you actually wanted to work with, who you're actually selling your stuff to. Doesn't mean that you're only going to work with that type of person ever, but I didn't realise how you needed to target your marketing to a specific type of person you want to work with. And I kind of winged it for 5 months and got nothing. Got no inquiries, got nothing. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, there's other VAs that I was seeing in groups who were getting clients. And I was like, what's wrong with me? And then all my mindset monkeys were coming back to the surface. So I decided to stop. And for 4.5 weeks, at the start of the 6 weeks holiday, I just decided to stop. I wasn't sure I was going to continue, wasn't sure what we were going to do. I couldn't afford to go back to work because the price of childcare was basically my wage back then. So there would have been no point sending Luna to nursery and then Lily obviously to after school clubs. So I was like, right, I don't know what we're supposed to do here. But I just decided to stop. And it was one of the best things I ever did. I took that time away to be with the girls, and it was my first time having two children at home during the 6 weeks as well, which was a new experience. God, now I look back and think, wow, how easy was it with two compared to four? But yeah, so I then joined a money membership and a VA membership right at the end of the 6 weeks. I literally used the last £50 I had in my bank to pay for both of these memberships, and I thought, I'm going to have to figure something out. And if not, obviously I could have cancelled the payment next month so that I could stay in these spaces, because when I got into the money membership particularly, it was amazing. And I basically ended up having one-to-one coaching for a few weeks until the lady actually decided to cancel it after a couple of months. because there was only, I think, a couple of times where someone else turned up. Nobody else actually came on to any of the live calls. And so she decided to close it. But I got a lot of one-to-one time because of that. And I did a whole round of things of looking at all the past trauma and money, and like setting like a letter. Like you set a letter on fire and you burn it as a symbol of letting it go. There was loads of stuff that we did in that time. And lo and behold, within a month of being in the membership, I got my first client as a VA. And it made me see just how powerful the mindset is as well. But the issue was I had no strategy for the business. So I'd been doing this mindset work, brilliant, got my first client, but I had no strategy for my marketing. I had no plan in place to be posting content, to engage with my audience, to be doing all the stuff you need, and to be getting visible to grow the business, which obviously I know all about now. So it'd just go like this in peaks and troughs. So I'd have clients, and then naturally being a tech VA, which is how I developed over time. So I started as a general VA, honestly picking anything up. I just said yes and figured it out. And that's what I did for some time when I first started, because I didn't really know anything about anything. So I had to say yes and figure it out. As long as it was something I knew I could figure out, like I would never have said yes to doing coding or any website stuff back then that I just wouldn't have been able to do, that I can do now, but I wouldn't have been able to do at the start. But I knew that I could figure out how to upload an online course into a platform. I knew I could figure out how to do emails. I kind of had a gist of how to do most of it anyway, but I didn't know how to do it in all some of the more complicated platforms. So I learned on, and it caused me a lot of stress. I very much learned on the job, and it caused me a lot of stress, because I was spending hours and hours of my own time, not getting paid for it, figuring it all out. But that was my choice. And then as the months went by, once I got that initial skill set, I really started to get a knack for tech, and I was really started to be able to go into any platform and just pick it up. And it's so bizarre how the mind works, how we struggle with something initially, and then once we do it, everything just starts, like the ball just starts rolling. And I just would have to pick up pretty much anything. And so over the first 2 years, I was like on and off with clients. I became fully booked at one point, but it was manageable, fully booked. But I still then wasn't posting because I got all the excitement. I got money coming in. It was like, almost for like, why do I need to post? Until I realised the reality later on of the importance of keeping up with your own business and not just being client based and not doing the work. So fast forward to August 2024, and I became overly fully booked. So what I mean by that is I had 6 hours of client work, 6 to 7 hours to do a day. Now you can imagine, with 3 kids at that time, I had my son at the end of July 2023, so I now had 3 children. Trying to do 6-7 hours of client work at a time was hard, and it meant that I abandoned them a lot. I'm not going to lie, it was hard for me to do that. I hated it, but at the time it was like all I saw in my head was I've got to help these people. We needed the money, and it was like very much I got stuck in that place, like a lot of you do with your one-to-one clients, of I need to just keep going, and you just keep doing it. And obviously at this point, this is when I'd realised and started diagnosed with having ADHD, that I was like, yeah, this is why I do this. And obviously the more and more I've understood my own ADHD, I understood why I felt obliged to not let people down, why I couldn't do anything that was for myself. It was always for everybody else. So that continued until December. So I had about 4 or 5 months of it. Then one of my clients dropped down to 10 hours a month instead of 20. It was a relief, to be honest. She was going through stuff of her own, and she was like, I need to put systems in place in the business so that I don't have to pay as much, because she was struggling herself, which was fair enough. And then come the new year, 2 of the projects I was doing are finished. There was another client due to finish in February. She had access to work client. They naturally finish, obviously, once their hours stop, unless they get renewed. And then there was another client I had who they had a reshuffling basically in the business, and they got rid of a load of people, and I was just one of them that they got rid of. So I was then left with my one client who I was supporting for 10 hours a month. I took on, I think, a couple of other bits of work outside of that. And then I just basically stayed with 2 clients who I still support today. And it was at that point that I had a breather, that I was almost like, do I need to carry on doing this? Part of me had always tried to pull me away from doing the VA work, because I knew deep down inside I wanted something more flexible. I wanted something where I could launch, know how many people I was roughly going to bring in, help those people over a set number of weeks, like a group program, which is what I am in the process now creating myself, so that I could then impact more people, I could earn more money, which was going to allow me to do more things. There was so much I wanted to do in life, not just be able to have enough money for us to be able to just live and have a bit of extra money for nice things. I wanted money to really be able to go out there and impact people. I go out all the time seeing people homeless on the street and just think, God, I wish there's something I could do about it. I always had a dream of going over to Africa and helping people out, the poorer people out over there with the issues they had. And it was one of the reasons why I was going to be a doctor until I had my daughter, and then obviously decided not to because I wanted to be with her. But I realise now that I've got such an opportunity being a business owner to be able to do just so much more good in the world, that I was like, but this is keeping me stuck. I can only earn so much money as a VA. There's only so many hours I can work a week, and I didn't want a team. I thought I did, and I kept trying to create this agency until I got to the point of realising it wasn't what I wanted. So I sort of paused, enjoyed the rest of my pregnancy. My husband was doing loads of overtime work, so we were all good financially for the first time I could ever say that. And then we had our beautiful daughter Leia, who was our last baby. We had last July 2025, and I just enjoyed basically 7-8 months with her, basically not really working. So I had her, and by the time the kids went back to school in the September, so my eldest daughter went to high school, my second daughter started primary school, and my son went to nursery 2 days a week. So I had 2 days a week to just be with just her. The other 3 days, obviously, I had him home. And I decided to really think about what I wanted to do with the business. I went with ChatGPT and go back and forward with AI, just bouncing ideas after really trying to work out what I want to do. And it was when I had a conversation with it one day, and I'll never ever say AI should never replace coaching or actual therapy, but for me, I just wanted someone to bounce ideas off. And it asked me, what do you want your business to be? And I said, ultimately, I want it to be calm. My life is chaos in every other sense of the word. I've got 4 children. I have ADHD. I've got 3 neurodivergent kids, and possibly my fourth is going to be the same. And I wanted calm in the business. I didn't want the business to be chaotic too. I didn't want to be constantly being pulled from pillar to post with clients anymore. I had set a lot of boundaries in my VA business. I only worked set hours, but it didn't stop clients messaging me if they were having a panic. And the problem is, if I then forgot to turn off my WhatsApp notifications, I'd be then in a panic and I couldn't leave it to the next day, because I'd very much got myself into a routine at this point where I was planning out my weeks, so that I was making sure that when I went back into business again, once I'd been on maternity and once I decided to go back, that I had a structure that was going to work for me. So I was like, I don't want to go back to this being pulled from pillar to post again. So it said, what do you want your business to be? And I said, calm. It asked me, what is your most favourite thing to do in business? And I think it was sometime that week I'd had a call one of my clients. Although I wasn't actively doing loads of work in the 8 months I was off with her, I still had my 2 clients support, and it was very, very minimal. And one of my clients is like a really, really good friend. We've become really close, and we just had a call to catch up. She'd met Leia, and we were just talking. And I love that. I miss the interaction with adults. It's the one thing I miss being an entrepreneur and being at home, is I miss the adult interaction sometimes. I think I drive my husband insane. Sometimes he's like, well, you just want to sit with me, you just want to do this sometimes. And I'm like, because I don't get any other adult interaction, other than online. I'm in some memberships and stuff like that, but it's not quite the same as being in person. And obviously having a baby at the moment, in-person stuff's just out of the question. So it was really lovely catching up with the client, and it then asked me what was my favourite thing to do. So I was like, you know what, I actually just love getting on calls and talking with clients. I dread every time I get on a call. Don't know what it is, not so much with this client because we become good friends. But every time I get on a client call, especially when they're new, I always dread it. I always worry about it. I don't know what I'm worried about. And then I get on the call and I love it, and I just bounce, and this energy just bounces around. And when I started with my other client, we had got on the call and we'd started talking about the tech support I was going to do. And then I was like, right, but you need this and you need that. I've got ADHD. I was like, we need some accountability. We need to be working out this. Let's work out what offers you're going to do. And I just sat there, and my brain was just going like crazy. And I was like, when I sat there and was doing all this with ChatGPT and realised I love how much I love talking to people and just remember that, I was like, this is what I want to do. I have spent 5 years now helping business owners with the tech, helping them how to map out their courses, group programs, deciding with them what was the best thing for them. So I am also a certified online business manager. I did my certification back in 2014. I literally did it the week of my son's first birthday. I no longer keep that certification because I don't pay for it, but I was certified, so you won't see certified anywhere online anymore because I am legally not allowed to put it there. But I did get the certification. I did the week. I just don't continue to pay to be part of the professional membership, so I can't physically put that name there. But I did all the qualification, did it all, did the training week, passed it, did everything over a year of training. So I also have implemented a lot of my online business management skills in the back end of business before I became certified. It just become a natural thing to start to manage projects and to really start strategizing with business owners. And I said, once I had this chat, I sat there, I was like, you have got the skills to be able to sit there and create offers with people. You have done it for the past 5 years for basically for free. Like you've been doing it alongside the tech stuff, helping them plan it out. I'll never forget a wonderful lady that I worked with who was an ADHD coach, and she wanted to set up an online course, and she'd got in touch with me to set it up on Kajabi. So usually when you come to me for tech support wanting the course set up online, it'd be you'd have the videos recorded or you'd be about to go and do them. You'd have the text. I may have to work with clients to, explain exactly what they need recording and stuff, but they'd have it pretty much ready or about to get it ready so then I could upload it all. With Lady Besby came to me and she was only at the idea stage and she wanted to do ADHD and disordered eating, but she'd been told it was the wrong thing to do and it wasn't a market for it. And I was like, hey, like, I'm your ideal client over here. I've got a daughter who would be your ideal client. ADHD and disordered eating, there is very much a market for it. I thought it was pretty well known that a lot of neurodivergent people suffer with eating problems, whether it's just fussy eating, bit of difficulty with food, or whether it's full blown orphan like me and my daughter have. So I was like, there's definitely a market for it. And we talked through for about an hour about ideas she could do, and she was going to do a course. And then I suggested, I think you'd be better doing a group program because your clients have got ADHD. They need accountability. They need that weekly check-in from you. If you give them a pre-recorded course to go and watch, I guarantee 90% of them won't watch it. So we talked that through, and she came off and she went, oh my God, thank you so much. And I said, like, if you're not ready to set up the course, then let's use your hours. She was another access to work client. I said, let's use your hours then to strategize and let's get this in place. And that's what we did. So I loved that. And it was from there that this idea came about, becoming the expert in setting up group programs and online courses. And I was like, I've done it so much now that I need to just go out and do that. I've got this gift. I've got this ability to do this. Why am I holding back? And it was that pinnacle point, literally when my daughter was a couple months old, when I went, that is it, I'm done being a VA. I'm done. I will carry on supporting my clients I've got for now, but I'm not going to be taking any more active clients because I just don't want to. Like, I enjoyed it so much. I love setting up the tech. I absolutely love technology. Like, I spent basically February this year, setting up the whole back end of my business, my own funnels, my own emails, everything else, because it's just something I can do so naturally. And I know I'm blessed to be able to do that. Many business owners don't get the chance to set up all their tech and everything before they get going. So I wanted everything set up ready before I launched this business. And yes, that was basically my journey into becoming a coach. Obviously, I've been a coach for many years, but it was my journey back into starting it again. I was at a point where I now know that one, my fourth daughter's amazing. She's been a bit poorly lately, so we've had a bit of difficult time, but otherwise, she's the calmest, sweetest, happiest baby in the world that I can come on and coach. Obviously, it's not going to be traditional coaching because I'm helping women like yourselves who are hopefully watching this to set up your scalable offers. It's not like doing hypnotherapy and doing all the stuff. So, I can do it flexibly around her. And that is what I really, really want to be able to help you all do. I want you to see that just because you've got children doesn't stop you. I never let the fact that I got children stop me being a VA. Never ever in a million worlds. And if clients didn't like it, it was basically tough titty. Like, I've got my children, they come first. And that is what I want you to realise. You've been doing this one-to-one work all this time. You have 100% got the ability to go out there and create your own group program or online course if that's what works for your business. And I will help you decide that. And we work together over a period of 8 weeks, planning all of this out, and that is what I now do. So I hope that video was useful and interesting for some of you to watch. So next steps, if you want to know more about this, you can click on the link that will be underneath this video. It's also over on my YouTube channel, to take my capacity check quiz, and that'll basically really give you an idea of where you're at in your business in terms of creating your scalable offer. So that's basically the next steps, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you all soon.